Grammy was a once-in-a-generation soul. This, I believe, is true. Just being here today, seeing all of you, it proves that to me. She captivated all of us with her wit, her charm, her grace, and the love she showed us all. Whether she was your wife, your mother, your sister, your daughter, your grandmother, your aunt, great aunt, friend, or even just a random stranger, she cared about you. She cared about you and your story and what made you you. She was interested in people like that. And she was interested in caring for people and seeing the best in them. She would see things we swore we never saw in ourselves. In the past month, I was introduced to people from my grandmother's life, friends of her and relatives that I either hadn't met or if I had, I was very young. And all of them and all their stories expressed the same notion. It was of her kindness and of her creativity, the way she saw the world. Because of who she was, she lived a full life, one filled with love, happiness, creativity, flavor for the wacky, one of travel. She loved to travel. She was always planning her next trip. I remember when I was young, her and my grandfather Sharky came back from Iceland, and all she did was talk about the beauty of the island, and more specifically, the beauty of the horses there. She had many roles in our family: matriarch, role model, poet laureate, resident pianist, house comic, Grammy camp head counselor, loving wife, supportive mother, zealous grandmother. And because of her, I have a grandfather whom I cherish and lovingly call Sharky, and the best two aunts that anyone can ask for, my Aunt Therese and my Aunt Alberta, along with their husbands, Mike and Mateo, and all of my cousins, who she cherished very much. Since my Grammy asked me to speak, I've been searching for the right words to say, and considering the greatness of her, this became nearly impossible. So I thought it best to let her speak for herself. One of the things she was most proud of was self-publishing her first book. And one poem that has been of great comfort to me recently, and you can find on your bookmarks, is the promise. Mother, rush. The summer flowers are dying. Quickly catch their petals as they fall. Winter winds will sweep their shallow grave sites. Will we their gentle fragrances recall? Hush, my child. It's just the seasons changing. Do not mourn your vivid visions gone. Each flower springs a seed, a new beginning. The promise that life's sweet bouquet goes on. I will leave you by imparting something that she recently told me as she was trying to comfort me. Do not get so lost in this world that I can never hope to find you again. Grammy, you'll be missed dearly, and we will find you in paradise where I know you will be waiting, and I will find you again. Thank you for everything.
Very much, Steve. Thank you. Now, Sandy's grandson with a song, the one and only, Mateo Velasquez Maineri.
There is no doubt. you are famous for, God of exceedingly, God of abundantly, more than we ask or think, for you will never fail. Your name is powerful, your words unstoppable. All things are possible in you. Make way through the waters, walk me through the fire. Do what you are famous for, what you are famous for. Shut the mouths of lions, bring dry bones to life, and do what you are famous for, what you are famous for.
Now we have Sandra's dear friend, Lorna Sear.
Take a deep breath here. I didn't speak. Usually it does. I come to you as a friend of Sandy's, and like many of your poor friends of Sandy's, you were embraced as family of Sandy's. That's the one thing she was always capable of doing, is embracing us as family. And I love the family, and I love all of our friends. This is about my relationship with Sandra. Sandra had a talent with words. We met at my Poetry and Prose for Peace monthly gatherings when I was president of the Bristol chapter of the Connecticut Poetry Society, which she became a valued member of. I thank Alberta for introducing us after a conversation with my mother. Throughout 20 plus years, we shared words. Words that rhymed, words that told stories, words of our own memoirs, and words, most of all, only dear close friends can share. Sandy also shared love of family and treasured friends. My mom would call her my second kid. And yes, we often told that old joke, I liked you best. Sandy owned the podium and the attention of all when she began to read. I would pick up my mom and Sandy, and off we would head to poetry gatherings and art all over the place, from Hartford to West Hartford, Butterworth Hall, Open Studio, Hartford, and the Expasius events, which she was so good at, picking paintings and art to write and perform poetry for. We did publish a book together. Yes, we did. Has an ISBN number and everything. We called it Just Like Us. She was very proud of that first book, as was I would like to share with your approval a poem, with her approval, a poem from the book that she has out now, which can be found on Amazon. It's called The Day Somebody Offered Me the Moon. She approved this poem for me to read, and I believe I know why. It's called End of the Storm. Do not fear flash of light, pangs of panic, thunderclash, desperation of the night, daylight, dawn. there strong as thunder, bright as lightning in the sky. I am there in joy and wonder, to kiss away each tear. By your side at every turn, quiet wisdom to share. By your side when you yearn for me, I am there, I am there. Just to interrupt the poem for a minute, I believe she is there, and there, and there, and there. Wisdom of the ages, rest within your heart. Listen as it beats your tune. We are not apart. We meet again mid stars and moon, a universe beyond. I am here now. I am here. I believe she is here. That was from the day somebody offered me the moon on Amazon. We chose this poem for a reason. We both believed in something we've labeled touch us. When those who had gone before us to heaven would be able to touch us again with signs that we would recognize just from them. As I feel her presence today, I love the last line of that poem. I am here. I believe she is here. Can't you feel her? Close your eyes for a minute. You'll feel her. Both my mom and Sandy could sing lovely tunes together. I cannot sing. On one of the hospice visits, she called me close and quietly said, I had a dream. You, me, and Mom met in the next life, and you could sing with a beautiful voice with us. I thought, on one of the hospice visits, she called me close and quietly said, I do really have that dream. She did. Lastly, we could not see each other during COVID. That was really hard for us, because we would get together at least once a week. We called each other nearly every day, but we created a code to share about the state of the country, politics, she had her opinions, and our own health, etc. One would call the other and merely state, I don't know. Then the next one of us would simply reply, I don't know. Then sometimes we would just share a laugh or two. That's friendship, isn't it? So Sandy, I know your spirit is with us. On my last visit, you whispered, will you miss me? My reply, yes. But I do know when we meet again in that next life, with Buster Duck by your side, we will sing. We will sing, sing, sing for the glory of friendship and family. Love and heart, love and heart, love.
Thank you, Lorna, thank you. I heard some rumblings in the back. Some gentleman was saying, I wish somebody would tell a great funny story about Sandra. And I'm wondering who might, oh, Therese. Therese. Please enchant us, Therese.
When my mom asked me to tell a funny story at her memorial, I was a bit concerned. I'm not always the lighthearted one. And I wasn't, honestly, at a funeral, I wasn't quite sure that it would be appropriate. And she did ask, and so I'll do my best to kind of share her unique humor and the way of looking at the world. I assume she asked me to do this because I needed to focus on the funnier side of things. And that's kind of where I'm taking this next. So here it goes. When my husband first came to the United States, my mom was game to teach him the most important aspects of English. She taught him a handy phrase that he could say in response to anything. And the phrase was, "Everything I know, I learned from my mother-in-law." This one is quite a famous one. My mom was a product of Catholic education, and during her high school years, Sacred Heart High had a festival in which they served fried dough. At the end of the fair, there was pizza dough left over. My mom, who in general terms, if you met her at that time, would probably be like the least likely person to do this next task. So that's why it's quite funny. So my mom took the rest of the pizza dough, and she thought it would be a good idea to place it on top of the principal's car, who happened to be Father Blanchfield. It was a hot day, so if you can imagine, the dough expanded so much so that she remembered it covered even the glass of the car, and so it would have been difficult to clean up. A good 20 years later, Father Blanchfield became the pastor of our church in Southington. My mom immediately told him if he remembered pizza dough rising on his car. She confessed she placed the dough on the car, and his response was priceless. He said, "God bless you, God bless you." So this is more of a story of coincidence because our sense of humor mainly came out of funny things happening just by chance and things falling into place. So it's not exactly comical, but it was something pretty ironic. In 2005, my mom was hospitalized with a serious illness. I had come home from Guatemala for my wedding. I didn't know my mom's illness, and when I realized how sick she was, I focused on her. I announced the plans I needed to do for my wedding ceremony. My mom was sewing my dress, and she sent samples to Guatemala for me to try on to make sure it fitted properly and everything else like that. But she didn't have time to finish the wedding dress. To my relief, my Aunt Flavia found someone to sew it, and it came out beautiful, just as my mom had imagined. But that takes us to the night before the wedding. Night before the wedding, I remember it was maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, and I was visiting her at the hospital before they made you leave. And it dawned on me right at that moment, for the wedding ceremony, I'm going to need wedding rings. It wasn't something I had thought about at all. And I turned to Mom and I was like, "Mom, I think I have a serious issue because my wedding's at this time. And, you know, in Guatemala, we don't really do anything with rings in the ceremony. So what am I supposed to do? I don't have a wedding ring." And she said, "Well, listen, Therese, when you get home, there's a cabinet under the TV. And in there, set to the back and to the right, there's a box of jewelry of wedding rings people sold to me at my consignment store. And I bet you find something you can use." And sure enough, I got home very stressed out because obviously there's no way. If they were not in that box, there's no way I was going to find one. And I did. I found one that fit me perfectly. I don't think I could have encountered it anywhere in the world, and it was really special that it came from my mom. Unfortunately for my husband, he found one that wasn't ideally made for him, but it still served its purpose. So, and on that note, the moral of these stories is do not take life so seriously. It's important things can be figured out without much effort. Have fun, do what you want, cause trouble, but if you get caught, own up for your mistakes, and you might be surprised to receive a blessing. Some things are meant to happen. You cannot change the unchangeable, but you can embrace it and persevere.
very much, Therese. So we're going to conclude with a thank you and a gratitude from Albert and then some songs, beautiful music by the Mariachi Academy in New England. Before that, I just wanted to maybe open up the floor, and if anybody had any memories or stories or anything they'd like to share. I know this is a time where we're just so happy to hear that. And I can bring the mic to you. You don't have to come up here.
I'm Frank Zukowski, and I had my wife and I were married 50 years ago, February 12th. I still remember that. So, at the wedding, it was an honor to have Alan Sands here, and the old tradition of throwing the garter and the bouquet. So, my wife threw the bouquet, and Sandy caught the bouquet very, very easily. I threw the garter, and there's pictures of Al. Around trying to catch it. But he caught the bouquet, or the garter, and the match was made. Then, 2 years later, they were joined. I was best man at doing it.
Thank you, Frank. Anybody else?
Oh, yes. Come.
I don't remember this, but supposedly I told my grandma that I was upset that we had Christmas parties, we had Halloween parties, but there was no Valentine's Day party. So Granny decided to make a Princess Valentine's Day party and started 2015, I think. And even during COVID, we did a virtual one, and I made a slideshow. But it's very special. There's actually the punch that is on the table is actually in the Princess Valentine's Day party. And we would all march around, and it was the girls, and then my cousin Mateo wanted to join in, and he became the official Princess Valentine's Day DJ. And he would play music as we marched around the house, and we were all the princesses, and all the adults were the queens, and I remember we all wore dresses, the Valentine's Day colors, and it was just really, really special.
Really clear. I want you to know that we're going to continue the Valentine's Day Princess Party at my house. In honor of your grandma.
I didn't know this was going to happen, where we could all share our stories, but that's a great way to honor Grammy in any way. She always loved sharing stories and having people around. And I just remember when I got the text from my brother that she was at the house, I wasn't sad in a weird way. And then I got there, and it was just such a great moment in a way, because after Corona and all of that, we couldn't see any family. And then in a way, Grammy brought us all together again. And even as I look around this room, I've seen so many people who have just said, I remember when you were this little. I'm like, well, I'm still kind of little, but it's just great to see everybody here. And it's just, I feel like it's a great way to honor her. And I remember on Mother's Day, before she became sick, I got to see her, and she got to share all of her stories, and she had a story for every picture. We went through a photo album, and I swear it took 3 hours to get through it, because there were just so many stories she could just endlessly share. And I don't know, just being with everybody was just super nice, because I've seen my cousins in the past month, probably than I've seen in like 3 years. Sorry, I'm getting choked up here. And the last thing I'll say is the last thing I said to my Grammy, I remember her just going, "I love you." And then I was with my Aunt Titi, and she said, "Make sure you look for a peace sign for me." And I just wanted to share with everybody that I do feel her, because the other day while driving, I saw a glowing peace sign. I just thought, that has to be her, right? So I just wanted to share my story with her, and it was great to see everybody today.
Very good. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Well, Sandy is 2 years older than I am, and but somehow, I guess the food, you know, in 1945 there wasn't that much food, you know, at the end of the war, and I came 2 years later, and we ended up being the same height at the same time, and so we decided that we would always pretend we were twins. We did that, and that was a lot of fun, and we went to cooking class together, we went to dancing class together, we had the same outfits and everything, and that really went on and on and on. It was really fun. But so Flavia was a little bit left out of some of this, but this is what was interesting. Sandra was maid of honor for Flavia, but then she figured out something very clever. When Sandra got married, she had a maid of honor, myself, and a matron of honor, which is Flavia, and also her two best friends, Lucy and Gloria, and they're here today. Stand up, Lucy and Gloria. Gloria was Sandra's roommate in college, and I can still visualize that dorm room and the Rubber Soul album and the Sgt. Pepper's album. And Lucy, our treasure also. Lucy, I keep saying what a small city, what a small world, what a small state. Lucy's father was in World War II, and her mother was a war bride. And one day, my dad ripped out this picture of these two beautiful ladies from Italy, and they were both war brides, and one of them was the mother of a good friend of mine, and one of them was Lucy's mother. And all this time, I treasure the friendship that you had with Sandra, and I treasure that day we had together, Flavia and Sandra and Lucy and Gloria. So that was pretty diplomatic of her, wouldn't you say?
Albert, would you like to share your gratitude with everyone?
I have a special book here that Sandra wrote for Albert. Inside it says a book for Albert. She wrote this in 1980. And the first poem I'd like to read to you is Love of My Life. Love of my life, I'm proud to be wife. To someone as gentle as you, to share our house. To be your spouse. To nurture our children too. When long hours have passed, we're together at last. At the close of a full, loving day. May we still hug on close. May we still share the most of our lives in the same caring way. Now, I know Sandra wrote this poem for me because she hated Ryan. She would never write a poem like that unless it was for me. One of the things that Sandra and I shared were these jokes, these clever jokes. I was told not to share them, but I'm going to do it. I have actually 10 of them here, so relax. What kind of shoes do frogs wear? Open-toed. How did the hamburger introduce his daughter? Meet Patty. Why did the little girl or boy put lipstick on his or her head? Some of you trying to guess what it is. He wanted to make up his own mind. What is the best material for kites? Flypaper. And here's a definition of a shopper. Someone who likes to go bye-bye. When does a doctor become annoyed? When he or she is out of patience. What is a 3 letters do people hate to write? I-O-U. Where can happiness always be found? In the dictionary. What's easy to get into but hard to get out of? Trouble.
Yeah.
Then I leave you with this last one. I don't know if I should say it, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's kind of off color. Or a lot. What's invisible and smells of worms? Bird farts.